Hello, family. This is day 23 of our Reading Through the Bible Together in a Year series. Today we cover Exodus chapters 22 through 24. Now, these that we're going to cover today have a lot to do about Israel's laws given on Mount Sinai, these specifically right after the giving of the Ten Commandments. And so a lot of these have to do with justice and relationships and how people have to live with each other. So let's see what we have today. If a man takes without right another man's ox or his sheep, and puts it to death or gets a price for it, he is to give 5 oxen for an ox, or 4 sheep for a sheep, in payment. The thief will have to make payment for what he has taken. If he has no money, he himself will have to be exchanged for money, so that payment may be made. If a thief is taken in the act of forcing his way into a house, and his death is caused by a blow, the owner of the house is not responsible for his blood. But if it is after dawn, he will be responsible. If he still has what he had taken, whatever it is, ox or donkey or sheep, he is to give twice its value. If a man makes a fire in a field or a vine garden, and lets the fire do damage to another man's field, he is to give of the best produce of his field or his vine garden to make up for it. If there is a fire and the flames get to the thorns at the edge of the field, causing destruction of the cut grain or of the living grain or of the field, he who made the fire will have to make up for the damage. If a man puts money or goods in the care of his neighbor to keep for him, and it is taken from the man's house, if they get the thief, he will have to make payment of twice the value. If they do not get the thief, let the master of the house come before the judges and take an oath that he has not put his hand on his neighbor's goods. And any question about an ox or a donkey or a sheep or clothing, or about the loss of any property which anyone says is his, let the 2 sides put their cause before God, and he who is judged to be in the wrong is to make payments to his neighbor of twice the value. If a man puts a donkey or an ox or a sheep or any beast into the keeping of his neighbor, and it comes to death or is damaged or is taken away, without any person seeing it, if he takes his oath before the Lord that he has not put his hand to his neighbor's goods, the owner is to take his word for it, and he will not have to make payment for it. But if it is taken from him by a thief, he has to make up for it, the loss of it to its owner. But if it has been damaged by a beast, and he is able to make this clear, he will not have to make payment for what was damaged. If a man gets from his neighbor the use of one of his beasts, and it is damaged or put to death when the owner is not with it, he will certainly have to make payment for the loss. If the owner is with it, he will not have to make payment. If he gave money for the use of it, the loss is covered by the payment. If a man takes a virgin who has not given her word to another man, and has connection with her, he will have to give a bride price for her to be his wife. If her father will not give her to him on any account, he will have to give the regular payment for virgins. Any woman using unnatural powers or secret arts is to be put to death. Any man who has connection with a beast is to be put to death. Complete destruction will come on any man who makes offerings to any other god but the Lord. Do no wrong to a man from a strange country, and do not be hard on him, for you yourselves were living in a strange country, in the land of Egypt. Do no wrong to a widow or to a child whose father is dead. If you are cruel to them in any way, and their cry comes up to me, I will certainly give ear. And in the heat of my wrath I will put you to death with the sword, so that your wives will be widows, and your children without fathers. If you let any of the poor among my people have the use of your money, do not be a hard creditor to him, and do not take interest. If ever you take neighbor's clothing in exchange for the use of your money, let him have it back before the sun goes down, for it is the only thing he has for covering his skin. What is he to go to sleep in? And when his cry comes up to me, I will give ear, for my mercy is great. You may not say evil of the judges or put a curse on the ruler of your people. Do not keep back your offerings from the wealth of your grain and your vines. The first of your sons you are to give to me. In the same way, with your oxen and your sheep, for 7 days let the young one be with its mother. On the 8th day give it to me. You are to be holy men to me. The flesh of no animal whose death has been caused by the beasts of the field may be used for your food. It is to be given to the dogs. Do not let a false statement go further. Do not make an agreement with evildoers to be a false witness. Do not be moved to do wrong by the general opinion, or give the support of your words to a wrong decision. But, on the other hand, do not be turned from what is right in order to give support to a poor man's cause. If you come across the ox or the donkey of one who is no friend to you wandering from its way, you are to take it back to him. If you see the donkey of one who has no love for you bent down to the earth under the weight which is put on it, you are to come to its help, even against your desire. Let no wrong decisions be given in the poor man's cause. Keep yourselves far from any false business. Never let the upright or him who has done no wrong be put to death. For I will make the evildoer responsible for his sin. Take no rewards in a cause, for rewards make blind those who have eyes to see, and make the decisions of the upright false. Do not be hard on the man from a strange country who is living among you, for you have had experience of the feelings of one who is far from the land of his birth, because you yourselves were living in Egypt, in a strange land. For 6 years put seed into your fields and get the increase. But in the 7th year let the land have a rest, and be upplanted, so that the poor may have food from it, and let the beasts of the field take the rest. Do the same with your vine gardens and your olive trees. For 6 days you are to work, and on the 7th day keep the Shabbat, so that your ox and your donkey may have rest, together with the son of your servant and the man from the strange land living among you. Take note of all these things which I have said to you, and let not the names of other gods come into your minds or from your lips. 3 times in the year you are to keep a feast to me. You are to keep the feast of unleavened bread. For 7 days let your bread be without leaven, as I gave you orders at the regular time in the month of Aviv, for in it you came out of Egypt. And let no one come before me without an offering. And the feast of the grain cutting, the first fruits of your planted fields, and the feast at the start of the year when you have got in all the fruit from your fields. 3 times in the year let all your males come before the Lord God. Do not give the blood of my offering with leavened bread, and do not let the fat of my feast be kept all night until the morning. The best of the first fruits of your land are to be taken into the house of the Lord your God. The young goat is not to be cooked in its mother's milk. See, I am sending an angel before you, to keep you on your way, and to be your guide into the place which I have made ready for you. Give attention to him, and give ear to his voice. Do not go against him, for your wrongdoing will not be overlooked by him, because my name is in him. But if you truly give ear to his voice, and do whatever I say, then I will be against those who are against you, fighting those who are fighting you. And my angel will go before you, guiding you into the land of the Amorite, and the Hittite, and the Perizzite, and the Canaanite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite, and they will be cut off by my hand. Do not go down on your faces and give worship to their gods, or do as they do, but overcome them completely, and let their pillars be broken down. And give worship to the Lord your God, who will send his blessing on your bread and on your water, and I will take all disease away from among you. All your animals will give birth without loss, not one will be without young in all your land. I will give you a full measure of life. I will send my fear before you, putting to flight all the people who come to you, and all those who are against you will go in flight, turning their backs before you. I will send hornets before you, driving out the Hivite and the Canaanite and the Hittite before your face. I will not send them all out in 1 year, for fear that their land may become waste, and the beasts of the field be increased overmuch against you. Little by little I will send them away before you, till your numbers are increased and you take up your heritage in the land. I will let the limits of your land be from the Red Sea to the Sea of the Philistines, and from the wasteland to the river Euphrates. For I will give the people of those lands into your power, and you will send them out before you. Make no agreement with them or with their gods. Let them not go on living in your land, or they will make you do evil against me. For if you give worship to their gods, it will certainly be a cause of sin to you. And he said to Moshe, Come up to the Lord, you and Aaron and Nadav and Avihu, and 70 of the chiefs of Israel, and give me worship from a distance. And Moshe only may come near to the Lord, but the others are not to come near, and the people may not come up with them. Then Moshe came and put before the people all the words of the Lord and his laws, and all the people, answering with one voice, said, Whatever the Lord has said, we will do. Then Moshe put down in writing all the words of the Lord, and he got up early in the morning and made an altar at the foot of the mountain, with 12 pillars for the 12 tribes of Israel. And he sent some of the young men of the children of Israel to make burnt offerings and peace offerings of oxen to the Lord. And Moshe took half the blood and put it in basins, draining out half of the blood over the altar. And he took the book of the agreement, reading it in the hearing of the people, and they said, Everything which the Lord has said we will do, and we will keep his laws. Then Moshe took the blood and let it come on the people, and said, This blood is the sign of the agreement which the Lord has made with you in these words. Then Moshe and Aaron, Nadav and Avihu, and 70 of the chiefs of Israel went up. And they saw the God of Israel, and under his feet there was, as it seemed, a jeweled floor, clear as the heavens. And he put not his hand on the chiefs of the children of Israel. They saw God, and took food and drink. And the Lord said to Moshe, Come up to me on the mountain, and take your place there, and I will give you the stones on which I have put in writing the law and the orders, so that you may give the people knowledge of them. Then Moshe and Yehoshua his servant got up, and Moshe went up into the mountain of God. And he said to the chiefs, "Keep your places here until we come back to you. Aaron and Hur are with you. If anyone has any cause, let him go to them." And Moshe went up into the mountain, and it was covered by the cloud. And the glory of the Lord was resting on Mount Sinai, and the cloud was over it for 6 days. And on the 7th day he said Moshe's name out of the cloud. And the glory of the Lord was like a flame on the top of the mountain before the eyes of the children of Israel. And Moshe went up the mountain into the cloud and was there for 40 days and 40 nights. So today was just a lot more laws for Israel, right? These are things that God has spoken after the 10 Commandments, but before Moses goes back up to receive the instructions for building the tabernacle. But, we can look at these laws and think that they're disconnected or old and archaic and maybe don't make any sense and totally ignorable, but there's wisdom in here somewhere. I like to point out the fact that in a lot of these laws, God is elevating things that in this culture would not be elevated, like giving women certain rights that they wouldn't have had otherwise, giving servants certain rights that they wouldn't have had. He's including the outsiders in some of these, the outcast or people that don't belong, the non-natural Israelites. So there's just like a lot of things that would be interesting. And if you look at them from post Jesus and how we think of the sovereignty of the individual and how everybody has human rights, these are not concepts that people held 3,500 years ago. Back then it was a lot more tribal, animalistic. People were fighting over territories and fighting over food, and there's just a lot that went on, and there was no just expectations or police force, at least outside of some of the more civilized areas. And so there's plenty of good books written about laws coming out of the Old Testament and how they pushed ethical law forward for its time. I suggest you get into those, but just keep reading through some of these things and try to find the wisdom like Jesus does when he does the cases in Matthew chapter 15, like you've heard it said, do not commit murder. I say don't even hate your brother. Right? Jesus is giving the spirit of the law to some of these letter of the law things. That's how we should be reading these. We should be reading these as what is the wisdom that we can find here. So think about wisdom as you have a wonderful day.